This is going to be an ultra budget PC build. 500 euros. You can play games on it. It will be a super fast desktop. And it's just one of the best PCs you could ever get at this price point. So I was telling my mom to subscribe to me on Twitch with her Prime, as one does. But it took her 30 minutes to subscribe to me on her crappy old laptop that I once donated to her. So she was really in need of a new laptop, and I told her not to bother with those cheap little things and just get a desktop instead. I mean, she was working from one space all the time anyway. She didn't need a laptop for the mobility. And I said that I could build her a PC for 500 euros. And it would still be bomb and fast and better than anything you can get on the market for that price point. And then she did something unexpected. She took me up on it. So I was surprised and excited, and I got to work. I started scouring pages for deals and planning the build. And yeah, I want to show you the result. This is going to be an ultra budget PC build. 500 euros. You can play games on it. It will be a super fast desktop. And it's just one of the best PCs you could ever get at this price point. So let's get into it. So when you're building a PC, you have to take into consideration two things. First being the budget. So what do you want to spend on it reasonably? And then the second one is what you want to do with it. And if those two don't match up, something's gotta give. So luckily, all my mom wanted was to play Rayman 3, and that came out in 2003. So that was not going to be an issue. I also wanted her to have a fast desktop where she could open all the tabs she wanted without having to close them down because the computer got too slow. And thirdly, I wanted it to be really reliable. So I don't want her to troubleshoot her PC every week, or even worse, call me every week to fix it for her. So it needs to be reliable. I also wanted to give her a taste of what newer games were like. So The Witcher 3, Skyrim, World of Warcraft, Portal, those kind of games. I wanted her to experience something that I love. So this should be perfectly doable, but I wanted to watch out for some deals. Even saving a couple tens of euros here and there could get you a better GPU. By this point, I already had a couple things in mind. For instance, I knew that I wanted an Intel CPU. And I know a lot of you are like, well, AMD is more affordable for more performance at that price point. Yes, but I also wanted the RAM to always be compatible and the motherboard to be very reliable. And I know that if there are some issues with the motherboard, it's often an AMD one. Especially if you're getting a Zen 2 CPU on an older motherboard and you're gonna have to upgrade the BIOS. And I did not have an old AMD CPU lying around, so I did not want to bother with any of that. I was thinking of either getting an i5 9th gen or an i3 10th gen. The i5 has 6 cores instead of 4, and they both have a very decent clock speed. The i3 was a little bit cheaper, and I found a good deal on the motherboard with an M.2 slot even, so I decided to go with the i3. Because I wanted my mom not to worry about RAM at all, I wanted to get her 16 gigabytes of it. RAM is not very expensive right now. Get some cheap DDR4s and you're golden. I wanted her to be able to open all the tabs and programs she wanted and get right back where she left off. I wanted to get her a snappy PC that was like a whole different experience to what she was normally used to. I didn't go for the cheapest RAM available. I went for this HyperX Fury because I wanted it to be reliable. So pro tip, look for reviews for all the parts you get. I was looking at some cheaper RAMs, but it had like 3 out of 5 stars and people weren't really happy with it. It seemed to be quite unreliable, failing on a couple people, and I just didn't want to bother with that. Just for 10 euros extra, I could get something that I know would work and would keep working, so I went with that. So for the GPU, I needed something that could carry around 50 to 60 FPS on 1080p. For semi-recent games, not AAA, my mom is not spending 60 euros on the newest, latest releases, but she can play some old classics from my Steam library. Gotta love that family sharing. The GPU market is in a terrible spot right now. Even getting some cheaper secondhand ones are going for a ridiculous price point. I did manage to snatch a decent deal for a 1050 Ti at 125 euros. It's a pretty decent card suited for a budget build. I went with NVIDIA again because yeah, they're fuss free. They don't give you a blue screen of death very often. I'm sorry, AMD fanboys and girls. And I also looked for second-hand deals, but the market is completely effed right now. Don't even try it. Like I said, I wanted your PC to be fast, so I went with 500 gigabytes of an NVMe drive. I really wanted to push it to a terabyte, but I really couldn't spare an extra 50 euros. And because I started looking after Black Friday, most of the deals were all dried up, sadly. I don't think my mom's gonna have a big issue with 500 gigabytes. She's not gonna play Call of Duty, Cold War, Ops, Zombies. I don't play shooters. She's probably gonna be able to put all of her games on that 500 gigabyte one, even put some photos on there. And if she wants some extra holiday photos, she can put it on an extended hard drive. That will be fine. No one's going on holiday anytime soon anyway. So for PSU, I went with an EVGA 500 watt white power supply. We've got a tiny i3 and an adorable 1050 Ti. I think will be fine with 500 watts. I didn't go uber cheap on a power supply. I mean, there are some around for 20 euros, but that just screams house fire. Don't buy your PSUs from Alibaba or AliExpress. That's yikes. I got her a cheap Sharkoon case with 2 fans in it. Even has some airflow, not like she's gonna really need it. There's not much heat generating anyway. But it's just a nice thing to have. It even has some blue RGB to it, fancy smancy, so my mom is gonna feel like she's a pro gamer. We all know RGB makes it go fast. So adding all that up, as well as the almost 3 euros for shipping, we've stayed under that 500 euro budget. You can get a Windows key for real cheap online if you look around. I got a bootable USB that I used to just install it, and that was that. It was chef's kiss. The build took about 2 hours max. Okay, that's not secure. It would have been faster, but I forgot to put in the I/O shield, and that had me taking out the whole motherboard again and then putting it back in. Don't forget your I/O shield. Other than that, it went extremely smooth. I think cable management and cleaning up afterwards took longer than the actual build itself. Next time I will show my mom's reaction, as well as some benchmarks for this ultra budget PC. We're gonna look at League of Legends, The Witcher 3, Skyrim, and World of Warcraft, among other games. So stay tuned.
It's blue!
It's blue!
Ah!
Oh,
It's blue!
it's like
Oh
Christmas.
my god, and that's green! Oh, fucking hell! And that's red! It's like my Christmas decorations outside. It's beautiful.
Okay, have fun. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow, honey. Don't wait up.